Hey there, I'm Eveline, 33, female, and I love this channel. Hopefully you find my submission interesting enough to post. Growing up, I was surrounded by finance bros and CEOs, the types who only speak stock market jargon and measure success in numbers. My old man even wanted me to take over one of his companies, but you see, that wasn't my jam, not even close. My brothers thought it was just such a shame. They believed I had the brains for it, and I suppose I did, but I just wasn't passionate about running some big conglomerate. I had different dreams that smelled like freshly brewed coffee and old books. So when I turned 24, armed with my business degree, I set out to make those dreams a reality. A quaint town, a cozy cafe, and a library. That was the dream. And you know what? It worked. Business was booming in about a year or so. Maybe too much. People flocked to my little spot like it was the last oasis in a coffee desert. But here's the thing. I didn't want to be swimming in piles of money like Scrooge McDuck. I liked the simplicity, the connection with the community, and the grind. It's just like playing The Sims. Sure, you can cheat for unlimited money, but where's the fun in that? The real joy is in the hustle, the sweat, and seeing your hard work actually pay off. I wanted to downsize, keeping things simple, but luck just wouldn't let me. I was even rejecting business offers that came my way. My patrons would beg me to expand into something bigger, but I didn't want any of that. It's not that I'm ungrateful, but too much success started feeling like a cheat code that I couldn't turn off. Then one day, everything I thought I knew changed and flipped my whole world upside down. Let me set the scene for you. It was a typical day at Nook, the name of my cafe library, and in came some swanky-looking businessman. Now, let me tell you, he looked like he had just strolled out of a boardroom meeting, completely out of place in my quaint little cozy shop. The man was dressed in a business suit, looking like a handsome stranger in a rom-com, but I wasn't going to let the looks fool me. I'd been approached by many businessmen in the past, wanting to transform my cafe into something bigger and better, but those idiots just couldn't understand that I didn't want that. So when I turned them down, things got really ugly. They would threaten me with all sorts of things, saying they'd ruin me, but I would just yell back at them, not scared of their empty threats. So when I saw this man, I met him with some hostility. I thought, great, another business owner wanting to rip the love and soul out of my cafe, replacing it with something soulless like a laundromat. So naturally, I started yelling at him, telling him to leave, and that I wasn't interested in selling my baby. However, my dramatic entrance quickly turned into a comedy of errors. The man, Cleo, wasn't there to snatch away my dreams. He was just a regular guy who just wanted a cup of coffee. Talk about judging a book by its cover. You'd think I'd know better. Obviously, I was mortified, and to make amends, I offered him bottomless coffee for the day. As we started talking, we were clicking, and I didn't want the day to end. Even when I closed up shop, he stayed a while longer, and we were inside chatting away like we were old high school buddies catching up on life. It was effortless. The conversation flowed, and for the first time I felt a connection that I had never experienced before. Who would have thought that the man in the business suit would become the love of my life, turning my cozy cafe and library into the backdrop of our own little love story? Life really does have a funny way of surprising you when you least expect it. Well, as you might have already guessed, not too long after that we started hanging out more and more, and eventually we started dating. Cleo was my Italian stallion, and he was slowly becoming the love of my life. He had this irresistible charm, and that accent. Oh, don't even get me started. We clicked, and before I knew it, we were married. But here's the twist. Cleo's dad, Arnaldo, was not your regular Italian nonno. Arnaldo was a successful entrepreneur himself, and he had this vision for Cleo to join the family business. That meant bidding farewell to our cozy little town and heading to the bustling city. And you know me, I wasn't thrilled about it. I loved my little cafe and library, and the thought of leaving them behind felt like tearing down a part of me. Cleo, I appreciate the offer, but I can't just get up and leave my little haven here. This place is my dream, you know that. Eveline, I get it. Your cafe is amazing, cozy, full of character. But sometimes stepping out of your comfort zone can lead to even greater things. Greater things? I like my life to be simple. Simple is good, but there's a whole world out there waiting for you. Think about it. Expanding could mean more people experiencing the magic you've created here. But what if it loses its magic? What if it becomes just another soulless business? I've seen too many of those growing up, and it can feel so lonely. That's where your passion comes in, Eveline. You've poured your heart into this place, and that essence will stay with you no matter where it goes. Plus, you'd be reaching more people who need that cozy escape. I guess I never thought about it that way. Life is about growth, and I see so much potential in you and your cafe. Imagine the stories you could share with more people. I do love sharing stories. Exactly. Your cafe has its story, but what if it could be a part of a larger narrative? You've got something special, Eveline, and the world should know about it. You make it sound tempting, Cleo, but it's scary. The best things in life are usually, Eveline. You won't be alone in this. I'll be right there with you. But love makes you do crazy things, right? So I agreed. All right, Cleo, let's do it. Let's see where this journey takes us. That's the spirit. Who knows? The next chapter might be even more incredible than the first. I packed my bags, kissed my little town goodbye, and embraced the unknown adventure that awaited us in the city. And let me tell you, city life was a whirlwind. It brought challenges, new faces, and a taste of a lifestyle I didn't really miss, to be honest. But amidst the chaos, one thing remained clear: my love for Cleo and my dream of that quaint cafe and library in a town far, far away. Little did I know, life had more surprises in store for me. Like I said earlier, we moved to the hustling, bustling city life, the Big Apple to be precise, because Cleo and Arnaldo wanted to start a business. But this was more than just starting a business. This was Arnaldo's way of testing his son and seeing if he had what it took to mess with the big boys. Arnaldo was always a tough nut to crack, stern and unyielding in his expectations. Cleo always faced an uphill battle trying to step into the big shoes of his father. I'd see Cleo night after night poring over business plans, trying to be the man his father wanted him to be. You see, Cleo wasn't really the business-savvy type. You know how I said that I had a knack for this life? Like it just seemed that I was destined to be a billionaire businesswoman. Not my words, but my brother's. Yeah, whatever spark I got, Cleo had none of that. It was actually quite sad to see him try so hard for his father's approval, but always fall short. I would comfort him and reassure him that everything would be all right, but Cleo didn't want words. He wanted numbers. He wanted results. I couldn't just stand by and watch him struggle, so I stepped in, showed him the ropes of the trade. Business wasn't just about numbers, it was about passion, caring for the people you worked with and understanding the heartbeat of your community, and that's what really mattered. Of course, Cleo wasn't an overnight success. No, it took time, patience, and a lot of late-night coffee-fueled conversations, but slowly things began to change and things were picking up. He started making decisions that mattered, connecting with people beyond the surface level. It wasn't just about profits anymore. It was about creating something meaningful. Then one day, as I was lazing around at home doing nothing, Arnaldo called me and told me he was at the door. I went to open it for him and he said, "Why, hello, Eveline." "Hey, Dad. Cleo isn't home right now." "That's quite all right. I came to see you." Arnaldo's unexpected visit surprised me. I couldn't help but wonder what business he had with me, especially when it seemed like Cleo was his main focus lately. I let him in, of course, and got him some coffee, and we started with some small talk. At first, I thought he just wanted to catch up with his dear old daughter-in-law, but honestly, I should have known better. The atmosphere in the living room shifted when Arnaldo said he had something serious he wanted to talk to me about. Arnaldo, with a serious face, confessed that he had something important to share with me. "But before I get into that, I just wanted to say thank you." "For what?" I know it was you who taught my son to not be such a terrible businessman." "What? I didn't do anything. He did it all by himself." "Bless your heart, Eveline, but you can't lie to me that easily. Take the compliment. I've known my son since the moment he was born. He didn't have a business-savvy bone in his body. I mean, you have more talent in your finger than he does in his entire body. I know it sounds harsh, but it's the truth. And I'm sure your talents rubbed off on him." Arnaldo went on to explain that he intentionally kept Cleo away from business handbooks, telling him what to do and how to do it, saying that he wanted him to learn the hard way. That way he would be original and authentic to himself and his brand. However, the reality was that Cleo had already learned the ropes thanks to my guidance. I sat there, unsure of how to respond, feeling a mix of pride and guilt for helping Cleo without Arnaldo's knowledge. "Now, he's soft. Yeah, sure, he knows how to make better sales than before, but trust me, I can see this going downhill. Why are you telling me all this?" And that's when Arnaldo revealed why he came over in the first place. He came to tell me that he was removing Cleo from the family business and replacing him with me as CEO. The offer caught me off guard, and I immediately declined. I couldn't fathom betraying Cleo like that, no matter the potential benefits. "Oh, thank you for the offer, but I could never. Cleo loves this company, and this would crush him. Thanks, but no thanks." I thought you might say that. I hate to do this, but this is also the other reason why I came here. To show you this, like I said earlier. Arnaldo pulled out his phone and showed me a video from the company's CCTV cameras. Cleo, unaware of being recorded, was seen bragging to his friends about how he was a better businessman than I could ever be. What the frick? "Yeah, she's just at home, you know. I don't know why she hasn't tried to start a business like I told her. It's pathetic, really. She looks like an empty shell of herself. Maybe it's for the best. It's not like she could ever top me when it comes to playing this game. Did you see my pitch from last week? And the sales are going crazy. And that's all because of," points to himself, "this guy." They all started cackling like stupid frat bros. And I felt so embarrassed. How could he talk about me this way? Arnaldo, with a stern expression, explained that he wasn't blind to his son's faults. He had hoped Cleo would grow into the role, but the video proved otherwise. "He's just a baby, as you can see. And I don't want any babies running my company. That's why I want you to run it, because I'm going to be stepping down." "What? Arnaldo, that's insane. How could you leave? The company isn't even 5 years old." "Eveline, I have tons of business and even more shares in different companies. I don't need this family business anymore. But just because I don't need it anymore doesn't mean I want to see it fail." I can't believe he said all that." "I know this is a lot for you right now, but just think about it, okay? I thought this would be the perfect opportunity for you. Yes, the business is quite big, but I think it would be a nice challenge for you. I know you're still upset about having to leave Nook behind. Maybe this is guilt speaking, but I really want you to get your hands dirty again. You're a beast when it comes to this. You know this." My emotions were a whirlwind as I processed the unexpected turn of events. The offer to take over the family business felt dirty. I told him that I'd think about it, and that's when he went on his merry way to God knows where, probably to start another business or something, since that's all he ever did. When Cleo got back home from work that day, I couldn't help but see him differently. Could you blame me? It turns out I didn't know my husband after all. In the following days, I was acting a bit cold towards Cleo. I couldn't shake off the hurt caused by his words, caught on that stupid video. Cleo, perhaps sensing my change in attitude, attempted to act overly nice, but I wasn't buying his crap any longer. As time passed, my anger and resentment only got worse. The realization that Cleo, my own husband, had spoken so badly of me for the sake of bragging to his cousins and business partners pissed me all the way off. I decided that I would take Arnaldo's offer to replace Cleo in the family business. It felt like the perfect opportunity to prove Cleo wrong. So one morning, I decided to surprise Cleo at the company building. As I walked in, Cleo asked what I was doing there and why I was in a suit, wondering what brought me there. And seizing the moment, I said, "Your father has asked me to take your spot." "What?" And I agreed. "What? Dad? What the heck?" "Sorry, son, but she did teach you everything you know." "You told him that?" "He figured it out on his own." "You can't pull one over on me, son. I told you how much I hate handouts. Even if they're information, why would I keep you when I can just hide the brains behind the operation myself?" "This is sick, Eva. How could you do this to me?" "Sorry, babe. That's just how the game goes. Maybe now you'll be the pathetic one who's just a shell of a human." The news hit Cleo like a ton of bricks. I could see the shock and frustration on his face as I confidently put him in his place. Suppressing my laughter, Cleo's friends and cousins witnessed the unexpected power shift. Cleo, unable to find the right words, stormed out of the building in a fit of anger. The tables had turned, and I stood my ground, determined to show Cleo that his betrayal wouldn't break me. I embraced the new role, ready to prove that success could be achieved without belittling those you cared about. Despite the crazy start, my first day at the company went surprisingly well. The team welcomed me warmly, appreciating the change brought about by having a woman in a leadership role. It felt empowering, and I relished the opportunity to prove my capabilities. When I got home that evening, I knew I was going to have to deal with Cleo, but what I wasn't expecting was a pile of ash scattered at the front door. A deep breath and cautious steps led me inside, where I confronted Cleo about it. His response, filled with fury, explained that my actions had ignited his anger. "Babe, I know you're hurt. Eveline, you embarrassed me in front of my family. How am I ever meant to show my face again?" "I don't know, Cleo, and I don't care. You should have thought about that before you were crapping on my good name. I helped you, and this is how you repay me? You needed a taste of your own medicine." Cleo started yelling, saying that no one had the right to embarrass him without consequences. "You think you're so slick? You think you can get away with this? Well, think again. You'll never be the head of the company. You saw that pile of ash at the door? Well, that was all the documentation I had as CEO. Now you're gone, and there's nothing you can do about it." I'm not going to lie, that caught me off guard, but I wasn't about to let him know that. One thing my dad always hammered into my head: never let them see you sweat. And so I had to act quickly. Instead of panicking, I hatched a plan to manipulate the situation. With a confident smile, I told Cleo that he may have overlooked one crucial detail. I had a copy of a highly incriminating document. "Which document?" "You know, the one that you don't want getting out, the one that can completely ruin your life. You think I didn't know it existed? But I saw it one day and decided to keep my mouth shut because you're my husband and I love you. But now? Well, now I'm not so sure." "You're bluffing. You have nothing." "Am I? Why don't I call your father and tell him everything I know?" The expression on Cleo's face shifted from arrogance to panic as he realized that I was being serious. Mind you, I was actually bluffing, but his worried face told me everything I needed to know. He was hiding something damning, and I was about to get him to expose everything. Cleo's desperation became evident as he begged and pleaded for me not to reveal his secret. Bingo! I kept twisting the knife further and further, and this grown man looked like he was about to cry. How pathetic. The tables had turned, and he found himself at the mercy of the very person he had underestimated. Fed up with his lies and BS, I had no intention of saving him from the consequences of his actions at that point. In a surprising twist, Cleo exposed himself, admitting to embezzling funds from the company with an unsettling nonchalance, claiming, "It wasn't even that big of a deal. I just took a couple of $100,000, that's all." The revelation left me shocked, realizing just how bad his secret actually was. When he saw my face, he knew that I didn't know anything, but now I certainly did, and he looked like he was about to lose his mind. Without wasting any time, I called Arnaldo, informing him of Cleo's actions, burning the documents and confessing to embezzlement. "Arnaldo? obviously furious, told me that he was on his way. "What the hell? Why would you do that?" "He needed to know the truth, Cleo. You're a monster." Cleo, now panicking, unleashed his frustration on me, becoming aggressive as he tried to deflect blame. Unfazed by his intimidation tactics, I called him a coward, refusing to shy away under the weight of his drama and anger. Shortly after, Arnaldo arrived and the atmosphere grew tense with heated Italian exchanges between father and son. I couldn't understand what was going on, but man did I want to have some popcorn and watch the fight go down. They were all up in each other's faces and I thought they'd start fighting in a minute. But then Arnaldo said something and it seemed like the whole world stood still. Whatever Arnaldo said seemed to strike a nerve, causing Cleo to abruptly stop yelling and appear on the verge of tears for the 4th time that day. Arnaldo then switched to English and said, "Get out! You're not welcome here. You're no longer my son." Can you imagine being kicked out of your own home, losing your job, your wife and your family all in one day? It was tough to watch, I'm not going to lie. Part of me even felt bad for the man. But then I remembered all the crap he did and I stopped feeling bad for him. Cleo's attempts at apologizing fell on deaf ears as Arnaldo remained firm, refusing to accept any words. Instead, he made it clear that Cleo would face the consequences of his actions, stating that he would take him to the police. As they left for the police station, the once lively home grew eerily quiet and empty. The weight of the situation finally settled in, and the gravity of Cleo's actions left such a horrible mark on the family. The following day, Arnaldo reached out to me through a text message revealing a heartbreaking internal struggle. Despite the betrayal, Arnaldo couldn't bring himself to turn his son over to the authorities. Instead, he told Cleo that he was disowned by the family, cutting ties and leaving Cleo to navigate the harsh realities of his choices on his own. Cleo found himself homeless, jobless, and disowned. The consequences of his lies just tainted every aspect of his life. I'm currently working on getting a divorce from the man. Having any associations with him would be bad for business, of course. Hey folks, hope you're ready for a wild ride because I've got a crazy story to share. I'm Rosemary, 32, female, and let me spill all the juicy gossip over here since my friends are tired of me repeating this story at parties. I'm sure by the end of it you'll agree with me when I tell them, how can I not? This shit is crazy. So you've probably heard of those mother-in-laws who are super weird about their sons, right? The women who breed the mama's boys, the ones who can't seem to let them go and almost act as if they're in a relationship with them. Well, imagine that. But instead of it being your mother-in-law, it's your sister-in-law. Crazy, right? Let me set the scene. My husband, Royce, and I met when he and his family were on holiday in my home country, South Africa. They were visiting Table Mountain and I was there with some of my girls for some good old-fashioned bonding time. At first I didn't even notice Royce on our trail, but as we returned from the hike and back down to the restaurant to unwind and enjoy ourselves, he started staring at me from across the room. Eventually, he was bold enough to start making his way towards our table just to chat, buying us drinks, you name it, anything to butter us, me, up. My friends were telling me he was super cute and that I should give it a shot, and he was agreeing with them, laying on the charm pretty thick. I was being flattered, of course, and I found his attempts endearing. Eventually, though, when he would spend more than 10 minutes at our table, I noticed that his sister Brooke would come as well, forcing him to get back to their own table. "Hi, ladies. You all look gorgeous." "Oh, thank you. You look beautiful as well." "I'm so sorry about my idiot brother." "Hey!" "He has a knack for embarrassing us. Honestly, we're thinking of not inviting him for the next family event." "Oh, are you saying he normally does this? He's always flirting with random women when he's on vacation?" "No!" "Yes." We all started laughing, everyone except Brooke. When Royce would tell her he wanted to stay and chat with us a bit more, she would get pissed, stomping back to her table with the rest of their family. who didn't seem to mind Royce's absence at all, mind you, glaring at us. I thought she was just trying to be gracious, avoiding family embarrassment and letting us enjoy ourselves without Royce all up in our business. But with hindsight, I can see that she was just clearly jealous. Let me tell you, the drama unfolds from there. Royce and I had a bit of a summer fling, you could say, just enjoying each other's company for the duration of his stay. We didn't even entertain the idea of anything working out long term because, well, he was from America and I was still living in South Africa. Long distance relationships always suck, right? So we said we'd just be casual, no strings attached, and we did just that. When he went back to the States, I thought that would be the last I ever heard from the guy, but life has a funny way of proving us wrong sometimes. As if it was written in the stars or something, a couple of years later I found myself in Cincinnati doing some work for the charity I was involved with. I had just turned 30 and my life was turning out exactly as I had planned. I was on cloud 9 and no one could stop me. At the time, I didn't think that a man was in the cards for me because I was always business-oriented. Running a catering business was no small feat, and I was set to do this till the day I died because cooking was my passion. I wanted to spread love, joy, and hearty meals all across South Africa and eventually all over the world, and this was the first step in globalizing my mission. Come to find out, one of the keynote speakers for the seminar was none other than Royce. When we saw each other, we were speechless, and I felt all those emotions flooding back. Needless to say, after the event, we went out for drinks to catch up. Before you knew it, we were fitting ourselves into each other's schedules and hanging out more and more. He just got me, you know. We fit like two peas in a pod, and I couldn't have been happier. He made me feel like that Katy Perry song, Teenage Dream. I was set to stay in the States for a couple more months, but he convinced me to stay longer, telling me that he was slowly falling for me and that he wanted us to be together. I reminded him about our locations because I was falling for him too. I had to keep my head straight. I wasn't about to let this guy come into my life and mess up my plans. But damn it! If this man didn't use some juju on me, then I don't know what was going on, because I was also falling in love with him. Before the end of the year, I was convinced that I had fallen way too deep and had to put a stop to it before my heart got completely broken. We can't do this. Why not? We can make it work. Listen, I've had my heart broken before, and I'm not going to let that happen again. Long distance is the worst. Are you really going to live your life like that, scared to try new things because, well, they're scary? You deserve happiness, Rosemary, and I want to give you everything this world has to offer. We can make this work. We'll find a way. We eventually settled on living in the States for a couple of years, starting a family there and then moving to South Africa down the line, especially when we were ready to retire. However, just because we were living in the States, we said that we would visit South Africa as much as possible, especially with any future kids, so that they don't forget their roots. It sounded like a solid plan, and I was ready to risk it all with this man. With my already established connections in the States, it was easier for me to transition into catering full-time here. Besides, living here full-time was going to help me spread my business far and wide. Royce needed some more time to make some South African connections for our move to be seamless, so that's why we stuck with America for now. Before we knew it, we were saying our vows and everything seemed to be going well for us. But Brooke was always in the corner, complaining and acting a fool. I was getting sick of her antics, wondering why she was so annoying. Royce told me that being the last born and the only girl in the family, she was always treated like a princess. It made sense, I guess. And I decided to keep our interactions limited because I couldn't handle her. She was just so bitter and annoying. She'd always complain, especially during the wedding preparations. She was acting more of a bridezilla than I was, and it wasn't even her day. Her complaints were always around Royce and how unavailable he'd become. She'd even joke around saying that I had stolen Royce away from her, but it always rubbed me the wrong way. What sort of sister says something like that about their brothers? She's a weird lady, I'll tell you that. What really set me off was when she wanted to come with us on our honeymoon and stay in the same resort, saying that she also needed a vacation. She was just weird like that, you know. Of course we rejected her suggestion, and as the spoiled princess she was, she threw a tantrum, saying she wouldn't come to the wedding. Everyone was sick of her acting that way, so we all just started ignoring her, the same way you'd ignore an annoying kid. When she saw that we weren't falling for her crap, she would sulk, but eventually come around when she realized that no one was going to coddle her. She even came late to the wedding, no doubt wanting to stir the pot, but again we were all ignoring her BS and enjoying ourselves. My wedding day was beautiful, and I managed to focus on what was truly important. After we returned from our honeymoon and were settling into married life, we came home to find that Royce's mom had gifted us a freaking house. Can you believe it? We were over the moon and beyond grateful, but of course Brooke just couldn't share in our happiness. Camille! Oh, please, still with the Camille. Call me Mom, for God's sake. Oh, Mom, I don't even know what to say. Say you'll accept it. You deserve it. You two have made me so happy, and don't worry, I've made sure there's enough space so that when you two have little ones, you won't have to worry about a thing. Oh, come on, Mom. What? It's about time. I got some grandbabies. Lord knows your sister doesn't have much time left. I'm right here, Mom. It's not my fault my boyfriend doesn't want to take things to the next level. Thank you so much for this. As a thank you for being so thoughtful, I decided to host a family dinner party and bring everyone together. I was on the verge of disinviting Brooke because I wasn't in the mood for the drama, and I didn't want to have to resage my house to get rid of her bad vibes, but decided against it because I didn't want to be mean. With the way the night went, I wish I had listened to my gut. Everyone was complimenting the food at the dinner table, saying how amazing it was to taste South African culture. Brooke, however, was being an ass, saying some rude and, dare I say, racist things about the food. We were all getting sick of her mouth when Royce had enough. He just yelled at Brooke and told her to go home if she wasn't happy. Yikes. It just seems like a peasant food. Excuse me? Brooke, what is wrong with you? Oh, I didn't mean any harm. I'm just saying it's not my taste, you know. I'm used to eating fancier things. Good to know. Next time I'll make a special dish just for you. Oh, don't worry. You don't need to do that. I guess I'll just stomach this. Enough. Royce, don't yell. No, Mom, I'm sick of her BS. Why do you always have to act like this? Like what? Like a spoiled brat. It's disgusting. Royce, how could you say that to me? I'm your baby sis. Yeah, you're my baby sister, but you're not a baby. We're like 30 minutes apart, damn it. If you don't like it here, then you can just leave. Really, Royce? You're kicking me out? You can't be serious. I've never been more serious in my life. You will not disrespect my wife. Not in this house, not ever. I don't know what's wrong with your taste buds. This food is so good, and you know it. But if you're not happy, you're more than welcome to leave. Now shut up and let me get back to eating before my chakalaka and pap. For the first time in what seemed like a very long time, Brooke had shut up. My man had read her for filth, and I was living for every moment of it. She shut up and went back to eating, not participating in the conversation. She even went back for seconds. Can you believe the nerve of that girl? The night ended with her awkwardly making up an excuse to leave early, and then she left. Camille told Royce that he had gone too far, but he didn't give a damn, and neither did I. Well, a couple of years had passed, and I was now 32. For the past year, after that dinner party I held, I had been catering for my mother-in-law because she was so impressed with my food. You see, my mother-in-law was known for hosting the best parties in town, inviting all these rich people to invest in her businesses. She had connections everywhere and she was well respected within the community because of all the charity work she did. She had a very big house and a lot of people dreamed of being invited to one of those parties just to get a glimpse of her perfect life. She would host 2 big parties in the year, one in the summer and a New Year's party as well. The first time Camille had asked me to cater, everything was perfect. My ego was boosted seeing all the people at the party go back for seconds, even thirds. At the end of the night, Camille came to me and gave me the biggest hug ever, telling me that she was so glad that Royce had married someone so talented. I swear this food is amazing. How do you do it? You keep impressing me every time I taste your cooking. What can I say? I have a great team behind me. They're the real heroes of the night. Oh, there you go, being humble again. Just wait, Missy. You're destined for great things. I didn't think it was that good. Here we go again. Brooke, can we just enjoy ourselves without you bitching and moaning, please? Rosemary's food is literally the best I've ever tasted. This seemed to sting Brooke quite a bit. I thought my cooking was the best you ever tasted. That was before I met Rosemary. Nothing even comes close. Ugh, whatever. I'm leaving. This party is dead. As usual, we would dismiss Brooke's antics and go back to enjoying ourselves. The night ended with Camille telling me she wanted me to host her New Year's party that same year. Of course, I agreed, and everything seemed to be set in a plan. I was upping my reputation as a trustworthy business. My in-laws loved me, except Brooke, but I didn't care. And I was living life with the love of my life on our way to extending our family. Nothing could have been better for me. Just as was promised, I was set to cater my mother-in-law's New Year's party, and I paid extra detail to everything this time around, not wanting to screw anything up and wanting to outdo myself from last time. But the strangest thing happened that night. My business experienced something we'd never faced before. Looking around the party, people's plates were still full, and they weren't even going back for seconds. When I told Royce about it, he told me not to worry because people were focused on partying. But as the night went on, he also noticed how people weren't eating as much. Camille approached me and she wasn't looking happy. She seemed embarrassed because her party was being ruined with seemingly bad food. She came up to me with a plate in hand and asked me to take a bite of the hors d'oeuvre that she brought over. When I tasted it, I almost gagged. What the hell is this? I should be asking you. What's going on, Rose? I don't know what to say. My food has never tasted like this before. I didn't know what was going on, but it seemed like my food was spoiled. That was impossible. I only used the freshest ingredients, and when I tasted the food before it was delivered, I made sure everything was in tip-top shape, and everything was. So why did it taste like crap all of a sudden? Camille wasn't happy, of course. Her reputation, as well as my business's reputation, had taken a hit. She even had to end her party early because of how things were going, and no one wants to end a New Year's party early. That's literally sacrilege. To say I was embarrassed was an understatement. I didn't know what to do. Of course, Brooke came around to gloat about my downfall. At the time, I never even thought to accuse her of anything, thinking she was just being annoying, because that was just who she was. Royce came to my defense as usual, but the damage had been done. When summer came around again, things were a bit awkward, but Camille was gracious enough to give me a second chance at catering for her party. I was so grateful for her kindness, promising not to let her down a second time. I took extra measures to make sure that the food would be perfect this time around. I hired more professional chefs to help with the catering, as well as spending a fortune on an even better food truck equipped with state-of-the-art technology to keep the food fresh and clean for as long as possible. But still, when the party had been going on for a couple of hours, I saw the same thing as last time. People practically refusing to eat. Now, Camille was properly pissed, and I couldn't blame her. She found me, pulled me to the side, and was yelling. "Okay, what are you playing at?" "Oh no, has it happened again?" Don't act like you didn't do this on purpose. Do you have a problem with me? Hey, okay, look, I know things are a bit tense right now, but arguing won't do us any good. I'm so sorry. I don't know what's happening. I swear to God the food was fine when I was bringing it here. Bull crap. You're trying to sabotage me, aren't you? Why would you bring spoiled food to my party? Are you trying to ruin me? Camille, I can assure you, I've been doing this for 10 years as a caterer. I could never bring spoiled food, not even for something casual, let alone something like this. Okay, let's get to the bottom of this. Rose, are you sure nothing could have happened on the ride here? Like the fridge is not working or something? You can even check them out yourself. I had 2 mechanics tell me that everything was in tip-top shape. Just then, Brooke was making her way towards us, smirking just like last time, ready to throw my failure in my face. Well, well, well. I'm not in the mood for your crap, Brooke. I'm just here to comfort my poor mother. She works so hard for these parties. It's a shame someone has to screw it all up. Brooke, seriously, now is not the time, okay? This is getting out of hand. I even saw Harry Finkel leave. Finkel left? Oh, God, I'm ruined. I have an idea. Why don't we check the security cameras? What? Why? That's a great idea, babe. I don't want to sound like I'm crazy, but at this point, I'm sure someone is messing with the food because it sure as hell isn't me. Fine, I guess we have to rule everything out. But I swear to God, Rosemary, if I find out you have done this to ruin me, I'll do it back to you, but 10 times worse. Camille, if I sabotaged your food, may God strike me where I stand right now. Let's go check out those cameras. We'll get to the bottom of this. For some reason, all of a sudden, Brooke was trying to get us to stay there and enjoy the crappy party, telling us the party wasn't ruined and that we shouldn't worry about it. She kept trying to keep us from getting to the security room, but as usual, we thought it best to just ignore her, thinking she was too drunk and didn't know what she was saying. When Royce was scrubbing through the footage, I told him to stop where I saw Brooke standing by the food before the party had started. She reached inside her purse, took out some liquid in a bottle, and started spraying it on the food. She got a spoon and mixed it all up, spraying some more, and then closed the dishes. She did this for all the food. We all looked at her and asked her what the hell she was doing. But she was now sheepish all of a sudden. I lunged at her, grabbing her purse, and she was trying to hold on to it. But she let go, dropping her stuff everywhere. I picked up the bottle that was in her bag and smelled it, and it smelled like rotten meat and fish. I almost threw up. It was so bad. Roy smelled it too and also gagged, and Camille was yelling at her daughter, asking her what she had sprayed in the food. That's when Brooke broke down and started crying. Turns out I was correct in my guess. She had managed to get a hold of some rotting meat and used it to sabotage the food. Are you serious right now? Tell me you're joking. What the hell is wrong with you? What if someone got sick or worse, died? That would ruin me. Brooke, I can't even know what to say. How could you? Now we have to put a halt on everything. I mean, I don't think it's that big of a deal. You will shut your mouth, Missy, do you hear me? Your time for talking is over. I don't want to hear a single word out of your mouth. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to make sure the food isn't being served. Camille was so upset, she said she was going to call the police and stomped out of the room. We thought at first that she was just saying things out of anger, but soon enough the police arrived, and Camille had turned the drama away from the bad food to the bad company that was ruining everything. Brooke was a mess, crying and kicking and screaming like a toddler, asking how her mother could do this to her. But Camille didn't say anything to her. When the police took Brooke away and Camille had announced to everyone that the party could be resumed, she turned to me and apologized, telling me that she was sorry for doubting me. No, there's nothing to apologize for. How could we have known? You had every right to be upset with me. I just hate that she did this to us. Mom, did you really just get Brooke arrested? It had to be done. Like Rose said, people could have died. I don't take this issue lightly. She's a grown woman, and last time I checked, her brain was working normally. She just chooses to be an awful person, and I'm sick of it. I treated her like the adult she was, so if she thinks she can get away with poisoning people, she should think again. You're right. I'm sure a night or two in the slammer would teach her a much-needed lesson. I'm just glad that my food wasn't the problem. I didn't know what I was going to do if someone decided to sue. I would be ruined. Don't worry. I want to be transparent about everything. People deserve to know the truth, so I'll make the video public and let the people know that if they want to sue, they can sue Brooke. Oof, that's cold, Mom. I second it. I think she deserves it. Hey, everyone. Thanks for choosing my story. I'm Blanca and I'm 55. Let me take you back to a time when my world turned upside down. You see, I never thought I'd be the kind of mom to snitch on her own son, but sometimes life throws you curveballs. So my son Amos, who was 19 at the time, came to see me one day with this girl, Eliza. I had never met her before, and I could tell something was up. Amos looked like he was about to break into a cold sweat. He urged me to sit down, and that's when he dropped the bomb that changed everything. Okay, spill it. Why do you both look like you've seen a ghost? And who is this girl? She's my girlfriend. Oh, why didn't you introduce me to her sooner? How are you, sweetie? Is he treating you well? Mom, seriously? This is not the time. Nonsense. She seems like a lovely girl. Quite shy, aren't you? Well, that's no bother. I'm sure we'll become buddies in no time. Mom, Eliza and I need to talk to you about something important. Important? What's going on? Mom, Eliza's pregnant. What? Miss Santos, we're going to have a baby. I swear to God, in that moment, I thought I would lose my mind. I was really hoping that it was a prank or something, but when no one was smiling, reality started to set in, and I felt like I was going to throw up. What? A baby? Are you kidding me? How did this happen? Well, you see, Mom, sometimes things just happen. Things just happen? Amos, this is not the stork dropping a package on our doorstep. How could you let this happen? I've always told you to be safe. Mrs. Blanca, it's not just his fault. I was part of this too. Oh, don't worry, your turn is coming. You both are adults, or at least I thought so. Explain yourselves. Mom, it was a mistake. We weren't careful enough, and now we have to face the consequences. Consequences? You both have just changed the course of your lives, and mine. I'm too young to be a grandma. She wants to keep the baby. I can't imagine getting rid of it. I know that this wasn't part of the plan, but a baby is a blessing, and so that's why we're here, to tell you and to ask for your help. After the initial shock wore off, I found myself calming down. Don't get me wrong, I was still absolutely pissed, but Amos and Eliza were facing the consequences of their actions, and I made it clear that I would support them, but not at the expense of becoming dependent freeloaders. In the middle of the chaos, I learned about Eliza's troubled relationship with her toxic parents. Their negative reaction to her pregnancy left me with no choice but to bring her into our home. I decided to let her stay with us to provide stability in what was sure to be a challenging time. With the three of us under one roof, it was a hustle. Amos took on 2 jobs to contribute financially, and Eliza, despite her own struggles, found employment. I emphasized the importance of responsibility and hard work. It was a tough journey, but I was determined to make the best out of an unexpected situation. After all, I had to prepare them for any and everything that would come their way once they became young parents. As the due date got closer, Amos got more agitated. Eliza had to stop working in her last trimester because of back pain. So Amos had to work even more and do odd jobs in the neighborhood just to get some extra cash for the baby. It was really tough, I could tell. And in typical male fashion, he wouldn't want to speak to me about it. When he would come home, he was often sulking, angry from all the work. I get it. Working 2 jobs, still struggling, isn't fun. Blame the economy, but it had to be done. I wanted them to understand that having a baby is no joke, and they figured that out once little Sammy was born. Ah, the good old days of being woken up every 3 hours. Those were fun. I would help out on some of the night shifts, of course, but when I would be woken up by Sammy, and I knew that both Eliza and Amos were able to do it, I let them sort out the poopy diapers. They would take turns, as most couples do, but I noticed that whenever it was Amos's turn to be on night duty, he would be especially angry, and oftentimes he would do such a bad job that Eliza had to step in, even when they agreed that Amos had it covered. With Eliza's parents essentially cutting her off after the birth, and Amos being grumpy and frustrated, the house was filled with mixed emotions, and taking care of a baby added to the challenge. Despite doing my abuela duties by babysitting and helping with finances wherever I could, these kids still struggled. It was understandable. They were just starting to figure out life. And now they had to take care of a little one. When Sam turned 1 year old, I sat down with my son to talk about how he'd been holding up. I did this from time to time, especially during that first year of Sam's life, but Amos always brushed it off, saying he didn't want to talk about it. I thought that now, with things settling into a routine, he might feel comfortable sharing his feelings. So one late night, I met him on the porch with some coffee and tried to have a heart-to-heart. How are you holding up? Honestly, not great, Mom. I'm just tired, frustrated, you name it. You know? Yep. It's a lot. But be more specific. What exactly is making you so frustrated? It's this whole situation. You know, God, I feel so awful saying it out loud. I never wanted a kid, especially not at 19. But Eliza insisted on keeping the baby. I felt like my opinion did. Maybe it doesn't. After all, I wasn't the one carrying the baby. But now I'm stuck with responsibilities I never signed up for. I hate to say it, but I resent them. Both of them? Yeah. I know it's awful. Well, yeah. But it's also understandable. You've been through a lot and you've worked so hard. I'm so proud of you for who you've become. I just feel like I've been robbed, like I had to dive into work so early. I don't know. I get that it's tough, but I'm glad you opened up to me. It's important to talk about it. You're not alone in this. I know, but it's hard not to be resentful. I wish she had considered my feelings more. Thank you for opening up, Amos. I can't change the past, but we can find a way to make things work. Your feelings matter, and we'll figure this out together. Thanks, Ma. Don't thank me yet. You still need to talk to her. She's your partner in all of this. I was glad Amos finally spoke his mind. I prayed for him every day, hoping he'd find some peace. After our talk, he gathered Eliza and me to share his feelings once more, but now with Eliza hearing it as well. Eliza was genuinely thankful for the open conversation, and they kissed and made up. This led Eliza to reach out to her uncle back in England for some support. She didn't have much hope, thinking that her uncle wouldn't want to help her because of her situation, but a good, bad thing happened instead, depending on how you view the situation. Sadly, when she tried reaching out to him, she found out from some extended relatives that her uncle had recently passed away in a skiing accident. But she then discovered that she was in his will, so it was great that she had reached out because the relatives were having a hard time finding all the beneficiaries. Turns out that this guy was loaded. He must have been a prince or something because Eliza was set to inherit $400,000. Can you believe it? I've never seen that amount of money in my whole life, and this girl was about to get it over the course of a week. So a couple of days later, Eliza got on a plane and went back to England to pay her respects and to receive her inheritance. When she returned, things got better and better with the unexpected money. Amos, Eliza, and Sam managed to move to their own place, a much better place by the end of the year. I was genuinely happy for their improved lives, and I thought, finally some peace and quiet. Within the next year, they tied the knot in a cute little chapel. Things seemed to be on the up and up for them. They had a nice house with a nice car, and Eliza was starting a business selling juices, protein powder, and all natural energy drinks. Now, you'd think that with all that success, Amos would be happier. I mean, after all, his main point of concern was handling a crap ton of responsibility. And with the way that Eliza was working, he was set to become a house husband quite soon. However, despite the better situation, Amos was always irritated. And when I would ask him about it, he wouldn't speak about it. It's like we were back to square one, and I wasn't pleased. I talked to Eliza about Amos's behavior, and she was just as confused as I was. She told me that she tried talking to him about it every day, and she told me that he seems to have been extra pissed ever since they left my house. His attitude was getting on our nerves. We didn't know what he wanted and what would make him happy. Eliza would sometimes cry, fearing that Sam was picking up Amos's demeanor, turning into a quiet and nonchalant kid. I did my best, playing counselor for the couple, but it didn't help. Their issues kept growing, and Eliza, tired of Amos's attitude, hesitated to end things due to Sam's age. This went on for years, with Amos being mostly cold and Sam turning into a weird, shy kid. I was getting super suspicious of it all. When I tried talking to Sam about his behavior, he insisted everything was fine, but he said something a bit off that I should have paid more attention to at the time. Now, baby, you know your abuela loves you? Yes. So you tell me if there was anything wrong, right? Yes. Your mommy and I have noticed your dad acting a bit strange. Does he seem angry to you? Well, sometimes. But he just says it'll all be over soon enough. What? What will be over? I don't know. When I ask him about it, he just tells me to shut up. Interesting. I thought that my son was referring to his postpartum depression that never seemed to go away, but boy was I wrong. I really wish I paid more attention to that. I could have confronted him and maybe stopped what happened a couple of years later. Just a little bit after Sam turned 9, I got a worrying call from Eliza. Hey, Mum, how are you? I'm doing well, my love. What about you? I'm good, thank you. I was just calling to ask if Sammy had taken his pills. The doctor said that he needs to take them on time. But he hates them, so he tries to hide them. Please just make sure he's taken his pills. I'll make sure to call Amos and ask him about it. I don't know anything about this. What do you mean? Where's Sam? He'll explain everything to you. Just call him, please. Eliza? Sam isn't with me. What? What do you mean he isn't with you? As in, I haven't seen the tyke in like a week? Remember? We went to the park? Yes, of course, I remember. But Amos said that he dropped Sam off at your place 1 hour ago. What? Yeah. I told him I would be swamped at work today, so I couldn't make sure Sam took his meds on time. Sometime after the park, he started coming down with something, and you know his immune system is pretty weak. Right. So yeah, the doctors gave us a bunch of meds, and he's supposed to be taking them. I told Amos to handle it, but he told me he had very important business to take care of, so he dropped Sam off at yours. Well, this is the first time I'm hearing of any of this. Amos didn't call me, and I certainly don't have Sam here with me. Both Eliza and I began to panic. We tried calling Amos, of course, but his phone was switched off, unreachable. Worries grew, and we feared they might have had an accident on their way to my house. Eliza had an idea. She decided to track the AirTags she left in the car. She had AirTags everywhere. She was obsessed with true crime and always taking extra precautions to have evidence or a lead if she ever got kidnapped, or worse. Amos and I always used to make fun of her for it, and she would always say, "One day you two will see." I guess all her worrying paid off because we had a real emergency on our hands and we could track the AirTag and find out where Amos and Sam were. Eliza asked for some time to locate it and promised to send me the location. We decided to meet there. When she sent the location, she said she didn't recognize the place, but I instantly did. It was some abandoned parking lot that was half demolished, a place Amos and his friends used to mess around when they were 15 or 16. I wondered why they were there. Maybe Amos was trying to spend some time with Sam, trying to show him what his life was like when he was younger. Maybe, but it just seems strange. Why would he visit that dump, and why is his phone off? I don't know, but we'll find out soon enough. Let's call when we arrive at the site. See you there. After we hung up, I rushed to that abandoned parking lot in my beat-up car. Luckily, I managed to blend in with the other abandoned cars there since I knew the place better than Eliza and was closer. I arrived before her. I was about to call Eliza and let her know I had arrived. I spotted Amos and Sam in the distance. I was about to get out of my car to surprise them when a group of men approached them instead. They looked scary, and I was wondering how Amos knew these guys. And then, very suddenly, one of the men grabbed Sam and started carrying him to their car. I was shocked, unsure of what was happening. Another scary-looking guy approached Amos, handing him a fat stack of cash. I couldn't believe my eyes. Was my son trying to sell Sam on the black market or something? What the hell was going on? Quickly, I started recording a video of the scene while trying to text Eliza. I told her to call the police and direct them to the location because the service was terrible in that area. I told her there was no time to explain and she said she would get to it. I went back to recording, trying to understand what was happening. Part of me hoped it was some sick joke because Sam wasn't screaming, and he didn't seem to be uncomfortable as he was put in the car. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but my gut told me something was very, very wrong. I didn't want to risk getting out and putting Sam and myself in danger, so I stayed in my car, praying and panicking and praying some more. The guys seemed ready to leave with Sam in their car, and Amos was heading back to his car, and that's when I knew for sure that something wasn't right. It was all happening so fast, I felt like I didn't have enough time to process anything. But I sprang into action nonetheless. Not wanting them to escape, I decided to honk my car horn, knowing it might put me in danger, but I had to risk it for Sam. The noise obviously got their attention and they started making their way towards my car. It was Amos and the guy who had given Amos the money. I was crapping bricks because I was frozen. I didn't know what to expect. As they approached, I overheard one of the scary guys yelling at Amos, saying, "I thought you said this place was empty. What the frick, man? You think we have time to play games with you?" "Listen, dude, I don't know what's going on either, but we'll figure it out. I'm sorry, okay? This place has been dead for years, and trust me, I know." When they came to my car, the scary guy opened the door and saw me inside. Amos looked like he saw a ghost. "Mom? What are you doing here?" "Yo, who the frick is this? Did you just call her your mom?" "Listen, I can explain." "Man, I should just shoot you right now, both you and her." "What?" "Amos, what the hell is going on here?" "Look, this wasn't part of the plan. I had no idea she would be here. I've done what you've asked. This doesn't need to get messy. Please, just..." Then he looked at me with so much guilt and said, "Just take the kid and go." "Where is he taking my baby? What are you talking about?" Amos continued to ignore me as the scary guy kept yelling and yelling, threatening to kill us both. But Amos was pleading with him. The scary guy told Amos the deal was off, that this was way too messy and they weren't in the mood to go to jail. So the guy started walking back towards his car, but Amos was chasing after him, trying to negotiate. The guy had his man drop Sam, and the one who carried him carelessly tossed him on the dirty ground. I ran out of the car, making my way to both Sam and Amos as those awful men made their exit. Naturally, I started yelling at Amos, asking him to explain just what the hell was going on. Just then, Eliza arrived with the police. When Eliza got out of the car, she looked at all of us and was asking what was going on. And that's when I told the police officers. "Arrest this man! Take him! Take him now!" "Mom, what the heck? You won't even let me explain myself?" "What is there to explain? I saw what you were about to do." "What's going on? Why is Sam all dirty? And why did you switch your phone off?" "I'll tell you why. It's because he was trying to get rid of Sam." "Get rid of? What do you mean?" "Here, I caught it all on my phone." I handed my phone over to Eliza as I held Sam and told him everything would be okay. That's when he burst into tears, realizing that what was happening to him was very wrong. Eliza started hitting Amos, cussing at him and asking him to explain what was going on, and Amos just stood there frozen like a statue. The police had approached us, and one of the officers was trying to break up the fight while I was explaining what Amos was trying to do. I told the other officer that the kidnappers had left not too long ago in a black van and that they could still catch them. The officer called for backup while a couple stayed behind to arrest Amos. Sam was still crying, and he kept on saying, "He said that it would all be okay once it's over. That's what he told me. He said that he would be happy once it was all over, once I was gone." "Oh, my sweet baby. Shh, it's okay. You're going to be okay. I'm so sorry he did this to you." "Mom, wait. Don't you dare say another word. I should kill you right now. What the hell is wrong with you? You're a monster, a pig. How could you do this to your own son?" "He said he would be happy once I left. I just wanted to make him happy." "Baby, none of this is your fault. Please, shh, don't worry. It's going to be okay." The officer took Amos away, checking his car and retrieving the cash that was handed to him, because I told them what had happened. Eliza started crying as she took Sam from me, holding him and telling him that everything would be okay. Amos was shoved into the squad car and taken downtown to be booked. We had to follow them to make a statement, and I showed the police the video I took of the deal that was going on. They thanked me because with the footage they could now have an easier time identifying some of the kidnappers. Amos was put in a cell and wasn't speaking to anyone, not even Eliza, and no police officer could get through to him. All he would say, if anything, was that he wanted a lawyer. He looked ashamed, and I felt the same way. I felt sick, knowing that my son was capable of doing such a horrible thing. It was the worst day of my life. From that day on, I couldn't help but look at him without hatred and disgust. I know he's my kid, but I couldn't understand why he did what he did. Was it for money? He didn't need it. His wife was loaded. Was it because he never wanted a kid like he said all those years ago? Why now? Why do it now? It just didn't make any sense, because even if that was the case, selling Sam on the black market was a stupid move. What was his plan if he succeeded? Run away with the money? Come up with a crazy story on where Sam went? I don't know, hey? We'll find out next year when his trial takes place, and I'll be sure to update you guys on how everything goes. For now, he's rotting in a jail cell. Eliza, Sam, and I are all in therapy, individually and as a group, to deal with the trauma that this has caused. It turns out that all Sam can remember growing up is his father telling him he hated him, and that nothing would make him happier than if Sam just left. It breaks my heart every time I have to say it. That was probably the reason why Sam was always so quiet and awkward, as the person who was supposed to love him unconditionally treated him like crap every day. My name is Carrie, 60, female, and let me tell you, I love hearing these crazy stories. I need to watch how much time I'm spending on this channel, because if I'm not careful, I could watch these all day. I've been on this earth for 60 years, and I've worked in both the restaurant and spa industry. So believe me when I say I know a story or two to share. But I've got one of my own that's juicier than a ripe watermelon. So here's the deal. I moved from Thailand to the States when my daughter Alyssa was just 6 years old. I wanted a better life for us, and things weren't looking too good in my home country, so we packed up everything and off we went. I started off working in a nail salon and pulling double shifts in this local cafe that wasn't too far from where we lived. It wasn't much at first, but it was better than what we were surviving off back in Thailand. Slowly but surely, we were making a stable home. Well, more so, banged up apartment, but hey, it was all we had and I was grateful for it. I hustled for it all and I was proud of it. But Alyssa, well, she wasn't exactly thrilled. No matter what I did, it seemed like it was never enough for her. She'd throw fits as she was getting older and older, saying I wasn't cool or that we needed more money because all her friends had the latest gadgets and fanciest clothes. Mind you, by the time she was complaining, she was 9, we were living pretty decently, if I do say so myself. We had managed to move out of the old apartment into a slightly better one. I was even saving up so that I could get her an iPad, and when I gave it to her, she yelled at me and told me that it was the old model, when she wanted the very latest one. I was working my tail off for her, but she couldn't see that. I climbed the ranks in the nail shop and became the manager, and our living situation improved. I got us a house and upgraded her phone and wardrobe, but still it wasn't enough. She kept moving the goalposts, and it felt like she never understood how hard it all was for me. I never burdened her with the details of my struggles, of course. She was my kid. She shouldn't have to worry about that stuff. But looking back, I wish I'd smacked some sense into her when she was 13 and being a brat. Maybe then she wouldn't have gone down that self-destructive path. You see, from 13 onwards, it was like a hurricane hit my sweet Alyssa. Teenage angst, puberty, you name it, everything went downhill. Sneaking out to rowdy parties, having boyfriends left and right. Even now, I look back and ask myself what went wrong and why she hated me so much. I kept telling her that what she was doing wasn't okay and tried to get her more involved in the church and after-school activities. I took her to therapy when that wasn't working, and I always made it clear I was there for her and that I loved her and wanted to be let in so that I could help her. But she kept shutting me out. The harder I tried, the further she pushed me away. I was getting fed up with her antics. But the final straw came when she turned 18. For years it was the same crap. She wouldn't respect me. I ended up being bullied by my own daughter. Our arguments reached a new level, with her sneaking off for days without a word. She'd hit me with the "I'm 18, I'm an adult, I can do whatever I want" line. I told her that her being 18 didn't mean anything to me because she needed to show some responsibility for that claim to actually stick. I would get her gigs at the nail shop, telling her to come and earn her own money so that she could show me that she could be responsible and independent, but she never showed up. We were honestly on the verge of biting each other's heads off. The tension was thick, and it seemed like we were heading for a mother-daughter showdown. One day we were having our usual arguments. She had been out for 2 days and didn't bother to tell me where she was going and what she would be doing. She was honestly out of control. "You're always on my case. Leave me alone." "Alyssa, please, I'm trying to talk to you as my daughter and as an adult." "If you think I'm an adult, why don't you treat me like one?" "I do. Well, I try to. Is it so much to want just a text about where you'll be? I'm your mother. I worry about you." "All I do is worry about you." "Well, you don't have to. You're not the boss of me." "Alyssa, I'm not going to go back and forth with you right now. I want us to fix this. We need help. Please let me book another session with Dr. Raymond. We can be better." "I don't want to fix anything with you. You've ruined my life." The argument was reaching its peak when suddenly Alyssa's face turned a bit green. Panic set in as she sprinted to the bathroom, and I followed. There she was, throwing up in the toilet. I held her hair back, rubbing her back, trying to figure out what was wrong. She seemed to be fine, and her temperature wasn't hot. As I was checking, she snapped at me, telling me to get out and to leave her alone. Giving her some privacy, I went outside, and 10 minutes later she came out, holding a pregnancy test that read positive. I didn't even know that she had those on deck. It was all so surprising. Of course, I can't lie. I was shocked and disappointed, but even with that in mind, I kept my emotions in check. Holding her as she cried, I reassured her that everything would be all right. Later that night, after the initial shock had settled, we sat down to talk. I needed to know who the father was, but she confessed she had no idea. It was a heavy conversation, but it was clear we needed to face this together. Alyssa, sit down. We need to talk about this calmly. I don't need your lectures, Mom. This is my life, my mistake to fix. I know, sweetheart, and I want to support you no matter what decision you make. I'm here for you. Support? Like how you've supported me my whole life? Look around, Mom. We're barely scraping by. My life is miserable. Alyssa, I've worked hard to give you a better life. I don't know what else you want me to do. There's nothing you can do. My life is already ruined. Alyssa, I know this must be really hard, especially since you don't know the dad. You don't get it. This is all your fault. If my life weren't so miserable, maybe I wouldn't have ended up here. I never wanted you to feel this way. We can figure this out together. I'm not judging you, I promise. You always judge me. Everything I do is never good enough for you. That's not true, and you know it. I've always been proud of you. Ha! Well, are you proud of me now, Mom, huh? Are you proud of your pregnant daughter? Alyssa, please, calm down. Yelling won't solve anything. I don't want your help. I don't need it. I never wanted you in the first place. Alyssa, that's not fair. I love you, and I want to be here for you and the baby. I don't need your love or your help. I'm done with you. I never want to see you again. Where are you going? I'm going to stay with my friends. I'm done with this dump. Alyssa, please. You know you don't have to do that. I want you to stay. I'll help you. We can raise the baby together. I want you to stay. No, Mom. I'll take care of this on my own. I don't need you. Thanks for nothing. That night, as I begged Alyssa not to go, my mind replayed our entire journey. I felt an overwhelming sense of guilt, questioning if I had failed her in some way. I tried my best, but clearly it wasn't enough. The weight of responsibility for her actions bore heavily on my shoulders. Expecting her to return after a week or so when her money would run out, which is something she often did, I waited and waited by the door, but nothing. Alyssa surprised me by remaining absent for months. I would call and text asking her about her and the baby, but she'd leave me on read. Each passing day fueled my worry, and reaching out to her friend was my only lifeline to information. Her friend told me that Alyssa was still couch surfing, struggling to get a job and prep for her baby. I was glad that she was at least with her friend, but obviously I was still worried about her. Persuading her to allow me at the birth was a challenge, but thank God she gave me the time and date and location when she was ready to give birth. When I finally saw her in the hospital holding sweet baby Tori in her arms, a mix of relief and concern washed over me. She welcomed me back into her life, showing me that she was going to be a great mother. Those initial months with Tori seemed to soften Alyssa's demeanor. Our relationship showed signs of improvement, with her occasionally allowing me to babysit and even spending nights at our place. However, just as the fragile bonds of connection were strengthening, Alyssa abruptly iced me out again when Tori was about 4 months old. A text cancelling our planned day together in the park left me shocked and questioning the future of our strained relationship. I tried calling her, but she wouldn't pick up. The worry crept back in, and I feared that our progress was slipping away. I decided to give her space, hoping she would come around. Days turned into weeks, and I barely heard from Alyssa. It felt like history repeating itself. My calls and messages went unanswered. I was stuck in this limbo of uncertainty, not knowing what was happening in her life. Months went by and I was getting more and more upset because I was completely left in the dark. On Tori's first birthday, I reluctantly made my way to her friend's place, and sure enough, there was my daughter acting like nothing was wrong. I'm not going to lie, I was pissed. She hadn't spoken to me and hadn't even invited me to the party. Who does that? Determined to address the strained relationship, I pulled her aside to have a serious conversation. She was about to start giving me the whole "I hate you" and "I hate my life" spiel, but I beat her to it. I made it clear that if she didn't want a relationship with me, that was her choice, and I had to respect that. However, I insisted on being a part of Tori's life. This unexpected assertiveness stunned her, and finally making her realize I was done with her crap. I pleaded for her to at least keep in touch for Tori's sake. Her response was unfortunately expected. Instead of a proper conversation, she started yelling, saying I needed to leave and that I would never see Tori again. Why do you insist on punishing me? I've given you what you want. The only communication we'll have will only be about Tori, I promise. I've done everything I could with you, and you're a grown woman, so make your own decisions. But I want Tori to be a part of my life, please. Just get out. Go away. You think I'm going to let you anywhere near my son? You've got another thing coming. For the first 8 years of Tori's life, I could count the times I saw him on my fingers. It tore at my heart, and every time I met him, he wasn't as fond of me. I felt so hopeless. I mean, what could I have done? But then something happened that shocked all of us, and it left us heartbroken. When Tori turned 8, he was involved in a horrible accident. Alyssa, borrowing her friend's unreliable and beat-up car to take her son to the hospital, got into a collision with some guy. Alyssa maintains to this day that it was the other guy's fault, but everyone who had witnessed the accident take place said that they saw Alyssa on her phone. Tori wasn't wearing his seatbelt, so the damage was intense. He had severe injuries to his eyes from the shattered glass, and that led to a complete loss of sight. It was a dark and scary time for all of us. Of course, I had to step up and take care of both Alyssa and Tori during their recovery. While Alyssa suffered some minor injuries to her arms and legs, she wasn't nearly as bad off as her son, Tori. During this time, I found that Alyssa's so-called friends she was living with had abandoned her, leaving her at the hands of her abusive boyfriend. Despite the challenges, she had landed a teaching job at an elementary school, and I couldn't help but feel proud of her for that accomplishment. Taking care of them was no walk in the park, especially with Alyssa being bitter about needing my help, but I had to swallow my pride and help her and her son out. After about a month, when Alyssa was feeling much better and returned to her boyfriend's place, she showed up at my door with Tori. Tori, go inside and watch some TV or something. Your grandma and I need to talk. I can't, remember? You know what I mean. God, you can be such a brat. Just get inside and put something on. When Tori went inside, Alyssa dropped a bombshell on me. She wanted to leave Tori in my care. She said she was done with him, saying that she was tired of him dragging her down. Anger surged through me, and I couldn't hold back as I shouted at her, questioning why she could be so heartless. What the hell is wrong with you, Alyssa? How could you do something so cruel? Hey, don't you dare judge me. You don't know what I've been through. I would if you just talked to me, but you don't never want to. And now you're just giving up on your son? He's a dead weight. I never signed up for having a blind kid. I have a life to live. I reminded her of her responsibilities as a parent, insisting that she couldn't just dump him on me because she was tired. Then came the accusations. Alyssa called me a hypocrite, saying I hadn't done my best with her. I denied it, of course, telling her how I had worked tirelessly every single day for us. Despite my efforts, she couldn't bring herself to believe me. In the end, she left without even saying goodbye to Tori. I had to break the news to him, and what shattered my heart was that he didn't seem hurt or angry. It was as if he had gotten used to his mother abandoning him. My relationship with Tori started off slow and rocky understandably so. To him, I was the grandma who hadn't been there for most of his life. I had to break it to him and tell him that wasn't true, and it was Alyssa who kept us apart. As the years rolled by, Tori grew into a smart, strong, independent young man. Despite his disability, he thrived. His passion for music led him to start a business, creating headphones that soon gained a lot of popularity. His inspiring story fueled the success of his business. When he turned 18, a full 10 years after everything went down, he was ready to move out, but not before telling me about his opportunity. I was used to it at this point. This boy was all over the country doing tours and being a motivational speaker. I was so proud of my grandson, and I was so grateful because he was always helping me. Well, it's been fun while it lasted. Promise me you'll visit. Of course, Yai. You've made me who I am today. Oh, please, that was all you. No, I mean it. You've been more of a mom to me than Alyssa ever was. Which is why I'm gifting you a house. What? And a car. Tori, please, don't make this old lady pass out. I'd give you the world if you asked me to. You've helped me so much. Please accept these gifts, and also I would love for you to come see me at Brixton Elementary. You have a seminar there? You know it. Apparently there are a bunch of blind kids who are excited to hear me speak. That's amazing! Oh, you make me so proud. But wait, isn't that the same school your mother works at? Yeah, it is. I guess the perks of being blind is that I won't have to see her. I know how hard this must be for you, but think about it. This is your chance to shine. What do you mean? Think about it. She tossed you aside when you needed her the most. You've been to hell and back, and you're still thriving. Not many people can do that, my love. You should shove it in her face. I'm sure when she sees you, her jaw will be on the floor. You know what, Yai? You're right. Lord knows, I would want to see her jaw on the ground after all these years. The day of Tori's seminar finally arrived, and he insisted that I drive us to the school in the brand new car he got me. As we got out, I spotted Alyssa, looking much older than her age and shouting at some kids to get ready for the special guest speaker. When she saw us, she almost couldn't recognize us. I told Tori that his mother was here, and he tensed up. Mom? Tori? What the hell are you two doing here? Hello, Alyssa. I'd say you look well, but I can't see. Don't worry, you're not missing much. What are you two talking about, and whose Benz is that? It's mine. What? How could you afford a car like that? I couldn't. It was a gift. From who? From me. What? Would love to stay and chit-chat, but I have to set up for the talk, so I'll talk to you later, Yai. Okay, see you soon. With the help of his manager and his security, who had also come to the event, Tori was led inside to start setting up for the talk. Alyssa just stood there with her jaw on the floor trying to find the words. But the person who's coming in today, he's a millionaire. That's when I dropped a bomb. I told her to look up her son on Google and see his net worth. She was left speechless, struggling to find words. I was trying so hard not to be smug about it, but I couldn't help it. She looked like she had been through the ringer a couple of times, and she was started to get a hunchback from all the slouching she was undoubtedly doing. She started asking me how this happened, and I told her she was about to find out from his speech. As we went inside, everyone got settled down and Tori prepared to speak to the kids. I decided that I was going to sit next to my dear daughter, eager to see her reaction to her son's success. Tori, as charming as ever, shared his background story, discussing his journey from losing his sight to discovering his passion for music and selling headphones. Even though I was abandoned by my mom and forced to live with my grandma, who's here in the crowd, everybody, please say hi. Hello, everyone. Hi. That woman right there, she's the reason I'm still here today. She's the reason for all of this. So, Carrie, my sweet grandmother, Thank you so much for everything. As I was saying, I felt really hopeful for a while, but I managed to get back up on my feet. Why didn't he acknowledge me as his mother? Maybe because he doesn't view you as his mother. Now shut up, I'm trying to listen to my grandson. You did this, didn't you? You poisoned his mind. You painted me out to be the bad guy, huh? That's why he hates me. Alyssa, as with most of the decisions you've made, you've done this to yourself. Don't be mad at me because you don't know how to take accountability. He never made it a point to point out that his mother, who abandoned him, was sitting right there in the audience. He always said he'd never reveal who his mother was because he didn't want to give her any more attention than she deserved. Tori kept talking about how he got to where he got, and Alyssa looked like she wanted to cry, repeatedly asking me how this all happened. I told her to shut up, but she just wouldn't quit. And when Tori finished his speech, the kids went wild, expressing how cool they found him. At the end of the assembly, he was being bombarded by kids who all wanted his autograph, and he was taking pictures with people. Alyssa stood there, shocked and embarrassed, and I couldn't resist telling her that she missed out big time. She looked at me like she wanted to murder me, and I knew she felt like complete crap for all the stuff she put me and Tori through. When Tori was finishing up with the kids and was ready to go, he came to me and Alyssa and said, "Okay, I think we're all done here. Can we go, Yai? I have a flight to catch, and you need to see your new house." House? Yeah, they weren't done renovating it, but I just got word that everything is finished now. Oh, goody, I'm so excited. We need to throw a party when you get back. Break the house in, you know. Tori, I've been thinking. Whatever it is, I don't want it. What? Why are you tearing me this way? I'm your mother, damn it. Alyssa, you are not my mother. Now please let us leave. We have important things to do. This stunned her into silence, and she started coughing and crying as we got into the car and headed home. I know it sounds awful to say as her mother, but karma is a B word. I bet she felt like complete crap. Hey y'all, my name is Loretta, 40, female. I grew up living a pretty simple lifestyle thanks to my Buddhist Asian parents, and because of that, people often see me as some kind of hippy-dippy tree hugger. It's true. I guess I could say I got that vibe, but what they don't realize is that beneath that chill exterior, I've built my own empire. I sell holistic goods and services for a living, and folks from all over America love what I offer. My sister-in-law, Jody, she's a whole different story. I can't tell you how we started butting heads, but I've always known her as someone who's crazy and so unnecessarily rude and strict. She's all about the fancy life, obsessed with climbing the social ladder and being as fancy and bougie as a 1950s upper-middle-class housewife. We've never quite seen eye to eye, always butting heads because of our different views. She looked down on me, thinking I was just annoying or naive with my happy-go-lucky attitude. Well, little did she know, I don't take crap from anyone. When Jody was now openly trying to tear me down, I hit her back with kindness and a little fire. She wasn't used to being challenged, but she was about to learn not to mess with me. Oh, Loretta, look who's hosting another one of your little meditation gatherings. Can't people just find inner peace without all this, whatever it is? Jody, it's called mindfulness, and yes, people find it beneficial. You should try it sometime. Please, spare me your hippy-dippy BS. I've got better things to do than sit in a room chanting and pretending life's all sunshine and rainbows. Sunshine and rainbows. You make it sound like I'm peddling unicorns. But hey, if you're ever interested in finding some balance in your life, you're more than welcome to join us. Balance? I've got balance, thank you very much. Unlike you, I've got a real job, real responsibilities, not just playing pretend businesswoman with your little shop of trinkets. Jody, my business is doing pretty well, thank you. People appreciate what I offer. Maybe if you took a moment to understand it, you'd see the value. Value, right. The value of selling rocks with good vibes. Groundbreaking. They're crystals, Jody, and people believe in their energy. Now, if you're done insulting my livelihood, maybe it's time for you to evaluate why you're always so bitter. Bitter? What the hell are you talking about? I'm not bitter. Wow, bitter and delusional. You know, Jody, all this hostility isn't healthy. Maybe you should consider talking to a professional. Get to the root of all that anger. She'd often just harumph herself out of the conversation when she realized that she wasn't going to get under my skin. Even on my wedding day with Daryl, she couldn't keep the good vibes alive. She was sulking and every now and then drawing attention to herself by loudly cursing or bumping into things and causing distractions and disturbances. She was acting like a child. Daryl was pissed off, obviously. He's always hated his bratty sister and her stupid antics. But me? It didn't bother me too much. Why does she always have to make everything about her? Don't mind her, babe. She's clearly struggling a lot. All that matters is that we're getting married. You're right, babe. You always know the right things to say. Let's just focus on us. And so we did. Despite her being a downright pain in the ass, Daryl and I focused on being happy. And surely enough, halfway through the day, the good energies and vibes were back in order, and this seemed to piss Jody off. She was a mess, and I wasn't about to help someone who didn't want to be helped. I had better things to focus on. I was focused on my life and my growing business. I loved what I did. Being my own boss and my company, Harmony Haven, became a huge part of my life. I blended my East Asian practices with Western customs, offering meditation, yoga, somatic therapy, and much more, and people just couldn't get enough of it. I organized events and fundraisers, but my dear sister-in-law was always a no-show. Let me guess, she's not coming again. Yeah, she mentioned something about having this super important thing to attend. Didn't sound very convincing, though. Super important thing? Classic Jody excuse. She's got a knack for avoiding anything that doesn't fit into her fancy agenda. Seriously, Loretta, she needs to chill. Your events are amazing. You're changing people's lives. Thanks, babe. I'm just doing my job. Why couldn't she just come and support you? I begged her not to skip it this time. Your guess is as good as mine. Maybe she's just allergic to positive energy. Or maybe she just can't stand the idea of supporting her sister-in-law's woo-woo business. She's got some serious issues, Loretta. She couldn't even tell me what important thing she had to do. She just said she had to go. Classic Jody move. I'm sure it was a pressing engagement with a new spa or something. Probably. You know her, always chasing the next trendy thing. Well, let her chase. I've got more important things to focus on, like helping people find their zen. Amen to that, babe. Don't let Jody get under your skin, okay? Oh, I won't. But she really should consider attending one of my sessions. The girl needs to chill. As the years rolled by, Jody and I grew more distant. She kept her life events a secret, and I'd often discover last-minute invitations to her fancy parties where the entire family was welcome except for me. Daryl, my husband, would be the bearer of the news, genuinely surprised that I hadn't received an invitation. Babe, why aren't you getting ready? Ready for what? For Jody's party, duh. Oh, well, I didn't receive an invitation. What? Okay, I need to knock some sense into that girl. She told me that she personally invited you. Well, you can check my phone and my emails. I didn't get anything from her. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe she forgot. Maybe. But we all know the likely answer is that she didn't want me to come, so I won't go. Realizing she was intentionally trying to exclude me, I decided to detach myself completely. I used to hold out hope for the girl, but this was taking things too far. It's like she was obsessed with seeing me sad or something, and like I said, I wasn't the one to play with. I understood she was attempting to get a rise out of me, but I rarely got angry. I preferred adapting to situations and choosing to disengage. It was clear she didn't like me, so why waste any energy on her, even anger? Daryl, out of solidarity, would sometimes skip these parties altogether, saying he would much rather lay up with me and watch movies in our pajamas, which was very sweet. But I urged him to attend, emphasizing the importance of his relationship with his sister and the significance of family. Left alone, I'd use the time to tend to my growing business. As the years went on, I reached the milestone of turning 40, and deciding to celebrate in style, I hosted a pretty big event, inviting some patrons from my business as well as some investors who were interested in my work. I wanted a big birthday bash, recognizing the importance of hitting the 40 mark. Despite Jody never inviting me to her gatherings, I extended an invitation to her, thinking that perhaps with time she had loosened up a bit. We were enjoying the party, and Daryl and I were about to talk about Jody not showing up when suddenly she came in. I was surprised, honestly. I thought she was going to be a no-show for sure. And this wasn't really her scene after all. Part of me half wished she wouldn't, even though I had extended the invitation, just to avoid potential bad energy on my special day. However, there she was, sticking out like a sore thumb. The theme for the party was retro psychedelic, and my home was transformed into a kaleidoscope of vibrant colors and patterns. Everyone had dressed in the spirit of the 70s, bringing the theme to life. Jody, on the other hand, didn't put in any effort. She opted for a simple LBD and stockings, drawing all eyes to her, but not for the right reasons. Not to mention her coming at such a late time only added to how embarrassing this all was. Approaching her, I initiated a conversation. It wasn't long before her snarky comments and dismissive attitude kicked in. It was like she couldn't help herself. Even in the midst of celebration, she managed to cast a shadow of negativity. As I tried to engage in friendly conversation, she responded with backhanded compliments and passive-aggressive remarks. "Jody, I'm so glad you could make it. I thought you wouldn't come." "Honestly, me too, but here I am, I guess." "Thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. But what you're wearing? What's wrong with it?" "Well, it's not really on theme, is it?" "Well, you can never go wrong with a black dress. It's always a classic." "Yes, but besides, I'm sure this dress costs more than whatever it took to string this little circus up." "Okay, Jody, just enjoy yourself, okay? I mean, I'll try. Just point me to the things that aren't kombucha flavored or whatever crap you're used to eating." It became clear that her intention was not to enjoy the celebration, but rather to undermine the happy atmosphere. My patience was tested, but I remained determined not to let her spoil my milestone celebration. The party kept going after my quick chat with Jody. I'd gotten pretty good at not letting her bother me, and she was way out of her element, just stuck in a corner on her phone for the rest of the night, so she didn't do much to bother us. People would notice her not participating in anything, and sometimes I would say the vibe was a bit awkward, but at least it wasn't the drama fest I had half expected. As things were winding down and some people were heading home, Jody came up to me with this serious look, saying she had something important to spill. Part of me thought, finally an apology, or just an ounce of accountability. Turns out I couldn't have been more wrong. She was about to drop a bomb on me. In her low-key dramatic style, she said, "As you know, my fiancé and I are planning on having a really big wedding." "Yeah? I'm sure you wouldn't have anything less. By the way, when are we going to meet this mystery man? It's been ages." "Right. Yeah, about that. That might take some more time." "Oh? Why?" "Well, it's because I don't want him near this lifestyle." "What do you mean by that?" Don't make me spell it out, Loretta. You're embarrassing." "Excuse me?" "I get it, okay? Everyone has their hobbies or whatever, but Grady is important to me. He's not like this at all, and I know that meeting someone like you would put him off. Which is why I came to tell you that I don't want you at my wedding." I'm not going to lie, that one kind of hurt me a bit. But in retrospect, I guess it made sense. I mean, she'd never invite me to her other parties. Why would this be any different? I guess part of me assumed she wouldn't stoop so low, but it was Jody. I shouldn't have been surprised. You see, I hadn't even met Grady because, well, I never got the chance. He would always be at her parties, and because I was never invited, we never got the chance to meet. Daryl would tell me that he seemed to be a good guy, and we both wondered what juju Jody used to bag such a sweet guy. You know, Jody, even though I should know who you are by now, you never stop surprising me. Oh, come on, don't be like that. No, Jody, this is crazy. What sort of sister-in-law relationship is this? You insist on hating me, and I've done literally nothing to you. Well, maybe if you didn't play dress up like a 5-year-old and act like a complete clown, I would invite you to this special day. But you do, honestly. You shouldn't be blaming me. I have a reputation to uphold, all right? Of what? Being a bitch? Whatever, Loretta. Don't be mad at me because you're broke and unsophisticated. Broke? I'll have you know I don't care about the peanuts you're making trying to keep up your stupid hobby, okay? I don't want you at my wedding, and that's it. Ugh, I don't know why my brother even married you. After Jody stormed off, insulting me in my home and my birthday, I was left standing there feeling kind of dumb for hoping things could ever be different. I needed to unload what had just happened, so I found Daryl, who was in the bathroom, and I spilled the whole crazy encounter. Daryl, being the protective guy he is, was ready to hop in the car and give Jody a piece of his mind, but I told him that wasn't necessary. I don't know what's wrong with that girl. I'm so sorry she said that to you. Let me go talk to her. No, babe, don't bother. But she needs to be taught a lesson, something. I've always been sick of her crap. I'm tired too. And I still can't believe you haven't met Grady. When is she planning on introducing you to? I have no idea. Maybe she never wanted me to meet him in the first place. That is so weird to me. It's a shame because I know how much he'd enjoy talking holistic medicine with you. Oh, really? Yeah. He's all about that stuff, which is surprising because he's engaged to someone who doesn't even believe in it. The last time we were together, he wouldn't shut up about wanting to invest more into living holistically. Daryl told me that Grady was a big shot investor, like one of those sharks from Shark Tank. You just gave me an idea. Can you please give me his contact details? Sure. What's going on? Well, I'm going to make him a business proposal he won't be able to refuse. Then we'll see if Jody's going to continue to be a whiny brat. Oh, I like the sound of that. What's going on in that head of yours? Don't worry, babe. I have something planned. It's not super kumbaya of me, but it needs to be done. I'm done with your sister's crap. Let's just say I was turning the tables on Jody, and I couldn't wait to see how this played out. Revenge is best served with a side of success, right? So after reaching out to Grady and explaining my business and what I was all about, he seemed genuinely surprised. Turns out Jody hadn't bothered sharing what I did for a living, and Grady was taken aback by how long it had taken for us to meet. I pitched my idea, and he was all in, even suggesting keeping it a surprise from Jody. Little did he know, right? But here's the unexpected twist. I bumped into them at the mall while shopping for incense. I saw Jody, who I assumed to be Grady because of the pictures I had seen of him walking around. When I called out to them, Jody looked like a deer caught in headlights, reluctant to face me with her man. And just when I was about to greet them, Grady did something that left us both dumbfounded. He bowed to me. Can you imagine? Right smack dab in the middle of the mall. People were staring, and of course, Jody and I were surprised. What are you doing? Then, as if we weren't already surprised, he said, Good evening, boss. How are you doing? You could practically hear a pin drop at that moment. Jody was staring at us like we just landed from Mars, demanding to know what the heck was going on. Well, it was time for her to find out. Boss? Yes, babe, Loretta is my boss. What on earth is going on? Well, I guess the cat's out of the bag now, babe. Loretta and I have been communicating about some business deals, and also, why didn't you tell me about Harmony Haven? You know I've been wanting to dive into holistic health and medicine. I don't even know what to say. I'm so confused. Honestly, I'm a bit confused too. Grady, what do you mean you're hoping I'd be your boss? Well, I looked over the document you sent me. Document? How did you two even know each other? Oh, well, Daryl gave me Grady's contact details. I just thought it was weird that I hadn't even met my future brother-in-law after all this time, so I reached out. And I'm glad that you did. Your business is exactly the type of thing I want to invest in. What? And if you'll have me, I would like to work for you. What? Yes, for a year or so. I really want to learn about this stuff, you know. Not just be some passive investor. I'm serious about this stuff, so if you have me, I would love to work for you. Grady, I don't know what to say. Say yes, please. I see a lot of potential in this, and I want a slice of the pie. Please, Loretta, I'll work hard. It's been a while since I've worked retail anyway. It's almost nostalgic for the time, before all the money and stuff. Well, you seem to be very passionate, so yes, I'll take you on as an employee. I'll email you the details and the work schedules. Oh my God, thank you so much. You won't regret doing business with me. I'll make sure Harmony Haven gets the recognition it deserves. Babe, isn't this great news? Yes, just great. Fantastic even. Okay, let me quickly get my hair cut and I'll meet you guys at the cafe for some coffee. My treat. That sounds beautiful. Thanks so much, Grady. No, thank you, boss. I swear I almost saw that man skip as he walked to the barber shop that was inside the mall. He was so excited. That was what my livelihood was all about, making people realize their potential. And I was glad I was able to break through such a huge business tycoon like Grady Sinclair. It was honestly amazing. Loretta? What, Jody? I just want to say, I'm so sorry for everything. Oh, so now you're sorry? Why is that? After all these years, now you want to apologize? Loretta, please, I see how messed up I was, and I've changed, I swear. I want you to come to my wedding, and I want you to be my maid of honor, please. Wow, Jody, this is so pathetic. What are you talking about? Didn't you call me broke and unsophisticated not too long ago? Why on earth would you want me to be your maid of honor? Let alone come to the wedding at all. I was just joking with you, sis. Sis? Oh, please don't make me laugh. You've never called me that. You're not my sis. Oh, come on, Loretta. Isn't forgiveness part of your philosophy? Actually, I don't owe you anything, especially forgiveness. You've hurt me all these years and you're only interested now because your man is interested in my business. That's not true. Don't lie, Jody. It makes you look unsophisticated. Loretta, please. I know you want your time to gloat, but please, I'm begging you, come to my wedding. Grady can't find out about this. About what? About the way you were treating me? Yes. Well, too bad. I'm going to tell him exactly what you told me. No, please, wait. Let me make this right. You're so used to acting like you know everything and that you're classy or whatever, but you're going to learn soon enough. You need someone like me. Yes, I realize that now, so help me. Nah, I think I'm good. Jody was practically begging me to change my mind, but I stood my ground, telling her it was too late and that she had to pay for her actions. I had texted Grady and told him what his fiancé had said to me on my 40th birthday. Grady said he was coming, and sure enough, he stormed out of the barber shop with his hair half done, looking pissed and confused. Jody, what the hell? Did you really say those things to Loretta? Oh, babe, I can explain. It's all a misunderstanding. Really? Does Daryl also know the way you've been treating me has all been a misunderstanding? Stay out of this. Jody, please. Why do you have such a nasty attitude all the time? Oh, it's so unattractive. This isn't even the first time I've had to tell you this. Is this why you never told me about Loretta? Do you have something against her? No, of course not. I was just joking with her. She's the one who took it too seriously. Oh, please, I wasn't born yesterday. I know you're capable of saying harmful crap like that. But to your own sister-in-law, it's pathetic, honestly. I apologized to Grady, explaining that I couldn't attend an event where my presence wasn't wanted. Leaving them in the middle of a heated argument, I overheard Grady expressing some serious doubts about their relationship, mentioning he wanted a prenup because something felt off about Jodi's actions and treatment of people. Talk about an embarrassing lover's quarrel in the middle of a mall. Feeling a sense of accomplishment, I walked away and went home. Afterwards, Jodi bombarded me with calls asking me to lie to her husband about the situation. That girl must have been smoking crack if she thought I would help her after everything she did. I couldn't wait to tell Daryl all about it when he got home from work that day, but until then, I was dodging Jodi's calls like the plague. When Jodi finally gave up, there was radio silence. I'm sure she was pissed, not getting her way, but I was glad I got my revenge. Grady has been emailing me about work, and it seems like he's not keen on sticking around with Jodi for long. His emails drop hints like, I hope we can still work together despite everything, and I don't know what to do with her. I can't marry someone that foul. As if he's contemplating cutting ties with her. Damn, how sad. Too bad I don't feel like telling Jodi about this little revelation. If he wants to end things with her, then I'll let her find out on her own.